So for your actual MVP for game of the week, who are you going with?
MVP this week is going to be Mr. Josh Allen. I know he's on a rookie running back. I know that he has no wide receivers to speak of. Oh, wait, maybe he does. And he still just goes out there and he completes 16 to 21 passes for 200 yards. He throws touchdowns. He rushes touchdowns. I'm pretty sure he could catch a touchdown if there was a quarterback to throw it to him. And you know what? Like Booby Miles and Friday Night Lights, he could probably even kick the extra point. Josh Allen is the man. He continues to strap this whole Bills team to his back.
Yeah.
The defense is better than we thought. That pass rush is very, very interesting. Interesting development because we were a little concerned about the defense with all the players, almost seems like half their starters they turned over. But Mr. Rousseau has been a beast to start the year. And who was your player of the game?
I think it has to be Ray Davis. I specifically went with Ray, obviously, because 152 scrimmage yards is obviously nothing to scoff at. 97 on the ground, 55 in the air, 3 receptions, 20 carries. James Cook out with a toe injury, and then this is the classic next man up mentality, and Ray Davis steps in and does his job, not just sufficiently, but he overperforms and he tears up that entire defense. That's the Jets defense is good, and he does that against them. It's impressive. I was really high on Ray Davis coming out of college. He got drafted in the 4th round. That's probably roughly where he should have gone. Being behind James Cook, I was a little bit bummed out because he wasn't going to get a lot of opportunities, and he's making the most of it right here. He only had 30 total touches before this game, and then coming in with 20 carries and then 3 receptions. So 23 total touches. And then again, tearing him up, I think he has to be the MVP for me.
That's the discussion on these rookie running backs. Jordan Mason goes down in the 49er game, and they give it to Isaac Guerendo, rookie running back who hasn't done anything this year. And, he busts off 12 or 13 carries for 100 yards. That's why it's going to be a super interesting topic in the offseason with a certain Boise State running back who is just absolutely destroying it right now in college, and what his worth is and where he goes, because you don't want to be the team that takes Bijan Robinson with the 8th overall pick just to watch Devon Achane go in the 5th round. So these rookie running backs, you never know when they're going to hit. You never know where they're going to come from. But shout out to Ray Davis for making a huge impact. Yeah. And, outside of Josh Allen, obviously he's the quarterback. He gets the props, willed this team to a win.
Yeah, and you
with
definitely
with a little help from the guys in the striped jerseys.
You definitely don't want to be the team that also drafts Michael Penix 8th overall and then just set him for the next 2 years either, and when he's going to be like 28 years old when he starts. But I think maybe they're the same team, maybe they're not. But I think
shout out to the Falcons,
right? Who's your unsung hero? You mentioned him a little bit, I think.
My unsung hero is going to be I got 2 unsung heroes, actually. I got one that has nothing to do with this game, if I can cover him next, if you can bring me back to this. My unsung hero is going to be the referees, because they were the stars of the show. We tuned into Monday Night Penalties, Monday night, our favorite show on cable network, and we got to see the refs do their thing. I think they awarded the Bills 5 or 6 first downs due to penalties. And, there was a comment late in the game by one of the broadcasters where he was complaining, talking about how it was a preseason game. And then they showed the penalties that happened. And then he was like, oh, well, you know what? I guess you do have to call that. It is a penalty. I get it. The roughing the passer calls where the body weight, like, if we want to change plays, if we want to call penalties on plays to eliminate a certain play from the game, and we're talking about the lifting the quarterback up and dropping him and falling on them, if you want to eliminate that play from the game, that's fine. Right. But it's been four or 5 years since they changed this rule. That doesn't happen anymore. We don't see the quarterbacks picked up and dipped anymore. Get rid of the body weight penalty. It's just absolute garbage. Josh Allen is a grown-ass man. Like, he's the size of Penei Sewell damn near. Like, he's going to be okay if you tackle him. And if he's not, it is what it is. I don't want to tune in to see the backup quarterbacks anyway, either. Unless you're a Raiders fan, then all they have is backup quarterbacks. But, besides in those certain cases, we want to see the stars play, but we don't want to see games end on penalties. It's awful. And it was 6 or 7 plays in a row. Yellow, yellow, yellow. It was absolutely awful. Unsung hero of the game.
Yeah, for me, I think I have to go with Taylor Rapp, and it's funny that you brought up the penalties following just an absurd roughing the passer call on AJ Espinoza, who was one of those pass rushers who ended up stepping up for the Bills on third down to keep the Jets' first offensive possession alive in the second half, at least. Rapp really made several big plays to keep the Jets out of the end zone over and over again. And then on top of that, there's an argument that he was just the best defensive player on the field while the Jets were on offense. He was all over the place, 8 tackles that tied with I think it's Teron Johnson also had 8, which you don't want your corners to have 8 tackles. That's not good.
That's not good.
But he also had 3 pass deflections on top of that, again, and making huge plays when it actually matters. And you know, when you make those game-saving plays, starting the second half, and then it comes down to 3 points and a pick late, then those matters. That's when you get that unsung hero for me. What were you going to say after the second unsung hero?
Oh, I wanted to go back to my favorite football team. As you could see, I'm a huge Raiders fan, and I wanted to ask you about what you think about we finally have a real owner.
Who has a
Tom Brady?
Oh yeah,
Tom Brady,
right.
owner of the Raiders. I mean, come on, what are we going to say? 5 to 7 years before the league pushes Mark Davis out, and Tom Brady is president of football operations. I have this guy at work. He's one of my homies. He comes up to me today and he goes, "Hey, so do you think now that the Tom Brady owns the Raiders, that means that we have 10 Super Bowls?" And I was like, it was funny. It made me laugh. I was good. Like, no, my dude, that's unfortunately that's not how that works.
However, but you want to spin it to make it yourself feel good.
Interestingly enough, they went and got the guy that, I don't know if you guys were all alive for this, but there was a certain play they used to call it the Tuck Rule game that involved 2 teams, you know, and they went and made that guy the partial minority owner. So an interesting decision, and shout out to Richard Seymour as well, another Patriots legend. So
yeah, there was a lot of stuff voted on by the owners. That, and then the Jaguars, as awful as they've been, their stadium got approved. So, you know,
who.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think we'll talk about them a little bit later.
Are they building it in London?
They should.
I'm just because, listen, there's not even a Jacksonville Jaguars fan in Jacksonville.
Yep.
You know how every time there's mass tragedies that we see online, and then you see like the same 6 people in all the photos, they just have the 2 Jacksonville Jaguars fans, which are actually Shad Khan's neighbors, and they just clone them and they stick them in the stadium, and then they use basically AI to show that the Jacksonville Jaguars actually have fans. And then you're watching the game on Sunday, and there's a ton of Bears fans, shout out Caleb Williams, and then there's like Cardinals fans, and then there's Packers fans, and I'm like, how many more teams are we going to see in the stands in London before we see a Jacksonville Jaguars jersey?
Outside of our MVP and our unsung hero, when it comes to the Bills takeaway, because they did win the game, and we always start out with the winners here. I'll go and start out with, you kind of already mentioned it with the Bills, but my biggest takeaway for this game and for the entire season really is the Bills are only going to go as far as Josh Allen's back can take them. I mean, that's been clear from the beginning. You pounded the table and you were like, listen, the Bills aren't going to be bad because Josh Allen isn't bad, because Josh Allen is good, and everything is going to come down to him. And that is true up to this point, 6 weeks into the season. That's not false. That is the most blatant truth that we can be honest with. He had a huge first half, 3 total touchdowns, 2 of them coming through the air. And outside of that, you have to have the small players do small things. Ray Davis, again, next man up, 152 total yards. You have to have games like that. AJ Espinoza tallying up 2 sacks. You have to have guys to do those step-up things. But Josh Allen is still going to take this team as far as it's going to go. Obviously, they've lost a couple of really close games and some good games. But Josh Allen, he can't do everything. I'm curious to see how far the Bills team is really going to go this offseason. Maybe when we get later into the season, it's going to be interesting to have a conversation how realistic we can be about this Bills team. When we get a better idea, I would say in the next 4 weeks about what their potential is once they have certain matchups. But what was your takeaways for the Bills?
Yeah, it's they made a decision today that I think is going to help them go forward.
Yeah,
got them some much needed help. For basically free, which is super nice. Shout out to Amari Cooper. I think he's going to help tremendously. I do like to talk a lot, and I apologize. I'm not that good at listening. But when we did these preseason power rankings and I was super high on the Bills, who did you have in there instead of the Bills? I don't remember.
I don't remember either, dude.
Was it the Cleveland Deshaun Watsons?
I black a lot of that out.
Oh, okay. I was just curious. Yeah, I mean, the Bills are as dangerous as they come. Whether they can beat the Chiefs in the playoffs remains to be seen, because we know the 49ers can't. So hopefully a couple more star wide receivers for the Chiefs will continue to get injured. That way they don't make it to the Super Bowl this year. That's what I have a prayer circle outside, and that's what I pray about every night is the Chiefs and lots of injuries. So, and I don't normally root for injuries, but whatever stops the Chiefs from winning, I'm on board. I'll do voodoo, whatever it takes. So the Bills are going to go as far as Josh Allen takes them. Clearly their running game is next level this year, because it's multiple backs now that are having success, which is a great sign for them. Clearly Josh Allen has great success in the running game, and now you got 2 running backs that are doing it. So, and they just added a wide receiver. Where he's at in his stage of his career, he's had a terrible year so far. So we'll see how much of an impact he has. But teams that have Super Bowl aspirations always make big time acquisitions at the deadline or leading up to the deadline. So,
yeah. What about for the Jets?
Okay, so Devontae and Aaron Rodgers are like the 5th highest targeted duo quarterback wide receiver since they've been in the league. The 7th most yards, their completion rating, their quarterback rating, all this stuff is fantastic. It's next level.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it helps that much. And I know that's probably sacrilegious. I'm wearing the man's jersey. He's 31.
Yeah.
You know, he's not been great in Las Vegas. And I know he's getting hospital balls from Jimmy Garoppolo. He's getting, I don't even know what the hell you call what Aiden O'Connell does. Gardner Minshew's not much better, but you generally don't get better as your career winds down. And so it remains to be seen what he can bring to the Jets. I just don't know if they are good enough overall talent wise. I don't know what they were doing with firing Robert Saleh so early. I would have fired, the offense coordinator. They bring in a new offensive coordinator this week, and the offense doesn't look much different. It's really just kind of, outside of a Hail Mary, which was fantastic. Shout out to vintage Aaron Rodgers. That game is a blowout if that Hail Mary doesn't happen. So, any game can be close. The one thing that was super exciting about the kickoff rule this year was it was gonna lessen the gap between really good teams and really bad teams, because one kickoff return can change everything. That's what that Hail Mary did. This game really was never close. There was a couple of missed field goals. There was a ton of penalties, but you could just see the talent dispersity on the field. So I don't know if Josh Allen to the Jets makes them a playoff team. Let me make a bold prediction. Devontae Adams will play in the same amount of playoff games this year as the Raiders do. That's going to be 0.
Yeah. I could get that one. I think for me is the biggest takeaway is they fired Robert Saleh too early. I think that's the end takeaway for me personally. The defense didn't look that great. You have a rookie running back drafted in the 4th round. As high as I was, and I am about Ray Davis, it's a 4th round rookie running back totaling up 152 total scrimmage yards against you in his first full starting game. And then Josh Allen, obviously, he had a good game as well. So your defense got tore up. The score wasn't as close as it actually was. I think firing that dude as early as you did, huge mistake. As you already said, maybe firing Nathaniel Hackett is probably the better decision, but you're not going to fire the guy that Aaron Rodgers loves and he defends to the absolute death. And every single time anyone bad mouths the dude's name, like he loses his fucking mind on the Pat McAfee show. So that's the biggest thing. So is firing him a little bit too early. Do you have any other takeaways?
Did you see Aaron on the McAfee show today?
Oh yeah, with
where he looks over and then he's like, and Pat, he's like, wait, what's this? And then Devontae peeks in and Pat's like, well. I'm like, oh yeah, that wasn't planned at all.
Yeah, right.
That's like when I have Justin Fields in studio. We all know it's coming.
Right.
Shout out to him. Poor him. We'll talk about that later.
Definitely. Before we move on to our next segment, I do want to turn it to the YouTube comments. A couple of questions that we have here.
About your haircut?
Yeah, apparently, did I get a haircut? No, I haven't got a haircut in a hot minute. It's probably going to stay that way for a while.
We can't afford it. We need more subscribers, please.
Yeah, we're saving up for more equipment.
Send this to your mom, your dad, your cousins, your nephews.
Exactly.
Send it to everybody. Make a fake Gmail account and subscribe to it. Let's do it. Like, just,
and watch, because that's what YouTube cares about. 111 subs, and like I said at the beginning of the show, one of our full podcast videos got over 100 views, and people are watching for over an hour on that one. So we do appreciate that. So keep running up those views, and it'll keep being pushed to other people. Next question: when is CMC going to come back?
He's at practice-ish. He's not coming back this week. Shout out to Ricky Pearsall. His practice window was opened. I would expect him to be back against Tampa. That would be my guess. We have the Chiefs this week. Next week we play some jabroni team from Dallas, and then the week after that we got the Bucks. I would say they're saying November. The Bucks game is the first week in November, but frankly, Jordan Mason's been great. I'm not sure what we're really missing McCaffrey at is our red zone problems. Our red zone offense has been bottom of the league this year, which is crazy because the rest of the offense has been top of the league this year. So we definitely need him back. But I'm more excited about trying to get Dre Greenlaw back in the fold, to be honest, because Devondre Campbell has been terrible.
Yeah, probably going to see him on snap count when he first comes back, even with taking the additional time.
Oh, I don't know. Kyle Shanahan doesn't do anything like that. He just, last year we're winning by 21 points. He's like, give him another dive up the middle, dive up the middle, dive up the middle. Hey, Kyle, you got 57 running backs on the roster. Maybe we give that guy a dive up the middle. Oh, it's McCaffrey. Throw a pass, catch a pass. 55 touches. Like, okay, Kyle, like, are we sure we need this guy in the Super Bowl? No. Put them on McCaffrey. CMC. What about Debo? Who's Debo? Give it to Christian. Okay, that's fine. And then guess what? Double Achilles tendonitis in both the. Hey, Kyle, do you think maybe you could have, when we were up by 30 in that one game and you're still doing halfback dives? Brock's not even in the game anymore. Why is Christian in the game? Christian. Like, okay, Kyle, you know what? You do you. He just can't. He's been on the IR the first 8 weeks. He's back from Achilles tendonitis. Let's give him 37 fucking touches. Full send. Let's go.
Oh, man. Last question is, who do we have for the Lions versus the Vikings? Unless that is going to spoil anything for later. For me, it's not, but.
Yeah, I can't. I can give you a prediction on that. Detroit. Duh. You see this? I'm clearly the biggest Detroit fan on the 2020 podcast.
I think I'm still going to go. I'm going to go with the Vikings on this one. Until they lose, I'm curious to see who's going to beat that defense. Now that the offense for the Lions is fully churning, fully chugging the past couple of weeks, seems like they really hit their stride, getting everyone involved. Amon-Ra, you got J-Mo out there doing his thing, obviously, and he's super duper explosive. You have an offensive lineman, lining up outside and playing wide receiver.
Ben Johnson was so disrespectful to you guys. He was trying that play that Penei Sewell made. I know that it came back, but the hook and ladder, and then he dove for the touchdown. That was badass. I know you turned the game off after the first quarter, but oh my gosh, they're lining the offensive lineman out at the X position. I'm just like, wow, Ben, you're just. And then I think Tom Brady's like, hey man, you want to save some of these plays for a game that actually matters? Nope. Listen. On one TV, we got Kyle Shanahan giving his 47th touch to Christian McCaffrey in one game. And on the other TV, we got Ben Johnson. He lined up 6 defensive linemen in the backfield and ran a trick play.
Yep.
Let's just go. I fully expect Penei Sewell to throw a touchdown this year. They're going to line him up at fullback, hand it off, and he's going to dump it right over the top.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch now that this week is done and over with, because I do like the Lions and I like everyone who's on the Lions. I think they're all good dudes.
You didn't like the Lions this week? I did. It was great.
Oh yeah, was it? Shut the fuck up, God! Always fucking talking. We have a fucking podcast or something. Always talking. That's crazy. Jesus Christ.
That should be the new name. Always talking.
Always talking. Exactly.
Taylor's always talking.
All right. Well, I think we're good to go ahead and move on. And